Let's go to Annie in Austin, Texas. Let's just go right there. What's up, Annie? How we doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Doing good, too. Thank you for calling. So what's up in your part of the world?
Yeah, well, I was introduced to you by my adult daughter who follows you. She's been a Ramsey follower for a while and got her finances and all straightened up through him. And I think she came to know you through that and introduced me. But anyway, getting down to the point.
Hey, you've got a wise, brilliant daughter. You raised her well. Way to go.
Thank you.
So what's up?
With help from people like y'all. But I have a 17-year-old son, a high school senior. Has been doing well up until a summer break. Was actually top 10% student, but then during the summer, he met a girl online from out of town, a 16-year-old young girl, and could not get distracted. Really bad that he is. And he told us after 3-4 months of talking to her, and then I could just see him constantly. We'd take away his phone for night, but during the day, he can't get away from his phone. It's just completely taken over with this girl, and it was very hard. He doesn't understand. He thinks that you guys can't really understand how it feels, what it means. And to a point, like, she's talking to him about, getting married and having kids. And he's like, it's been hard. We talked to him to stay focused on school and graduate and get yourself a career and become 21. At that moment, it seems like he gets it, but then pretty soon, I think being in touch with her, we took away phone, set some limits. But so it's been going on for a couple of months now. His dad isn't very actively involved in his life. He's a good guy, but he isn't the kind of guy that for a teenager. And I feel sometimes so helpless. But
yeah. So does dad? A couple questions. So does dad live at home?
Yes.
Okay, so y'all are still together?
We live separate lives, but live under the same roof.
Okay.
We run the household, but
let me excuse. And how old is this young lady?
Oh, she's 16, and so.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's 16, and so when I.
How do you know that she's 16?
Well, she told me, and my son told me, and
how do you know she's 16?
Well, she is a sophomore in high school, and my son told me she's 16, and I had a chance to talk to her. She did answer my phone and said that, I said, look, we have different plans for Ethan, and this must stop, and you should call. If not, me and my husband planning to come over and confront your parents. Because she's sending nude pictures, not nude, but, her breasts and things like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any from my son, and at least he's very open and honest with us, which has been helpful. He said, he never asked her, but she's been sending. And I follow the thread, and she's the one, leading these kind of discussions.
So here's a couple things. Number one, there's an old proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And this type of conversation was best had 10 years ago, but the next part of that proverb, if I remember it correctly, is the second best time to plant a tree is today.
Yeah.
So here's a couple things. Number one, your husband does not get to step out of this conversation anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a flex, and it's not a beat down, and it's not a, this is my house, not like that. He needs to sit down and talk to his son about the first time he fell in love, and maybe the second and third time he fell. He needs to have some sort of conversation with his son, because his son feels like he's on an island, and he's got some woman, some young kid, actually, not a woman, some child, sending him nude pictures telling him that he is the most special thing in his world.
Right.
And if he's growing up in a romance-free home of two parents who are roommates, and that type of love, that type of attraction, that type of, hey, you have value and let me show you how valuable you are, they're already going to be there because he's 17. But man, you talk about gasoline on a fire. And here's the thing. That girl may be 12. She may be 14. She's a child. Anytime a child sends any sort of nude picture, then you stop and you call parents. You get them involved. And this isn't even a religious thing. This is any human ever.
I mean, I was surprised for her, the way she spoke to me over the phone. Like, she sounded like more older than me. She said, like,
yeah, but my daughter
like,
told me she was over me and she was done dealing with me. And she's 5. So I don't care those kind of words. I don't care about that. I don't care what she sounds like. More importantly is your son is in desperate need of adults in his life, and he doesn't have them. He's got an absentee buddy in dad, and he's got you're kind of acting like a 17-year-old, almost like a sister. Like, hey, we're going to come over there and confront you, like West Side Story. Y'all going to start snapping and walk across the middle of the street together, and the music's going to play. Like, he needs adults. And one is the relationship part where dad says, hey, man, this is what it's like falling in love. You should have been having those conversations a decade ago. Clearly, dad didn't, so here we are today. Here's what this looks like. Here's what heartbreak feels like. Here's what making good choices feels like. And then there's the legal, ethical. If your child is putting nude photos of himself out into the world, don't want to break anybody's heart, but he's not the only one. And some adult in the world has to throw a flag on that one and get with the other adults in the world. Right?
Yeah.
And you guys have set boundaries and all that. My fear is this young lady is 14.
Yeah.
And now your son's a felon.
Well, we did warn him about that.
I don't care. Yeah, but he's 17-year-old guy and a young lady is sending him pictures. You can't, that's not a conversation with a 17-year-old. Like, well, you need to make good choices. No! Every part of their brain has been taken over. That's where they need adults in their life to step in and say, I'm stopping this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, you know what helped? I mean, like, it's been ongoing for a couple of months. Finally, last week, we're a Christian, so my husband, at least, this was a good aspect. He said, we're going to fast and pray. We're going to look at the word of the Lord. We talked about the story of Samson and about the prodigal son and the choices that they made. And so that really hit him, the story of prodigal son. He said, well, I was at the point of wanting to go leave you guys and go, because that's how it tracked him. But
so to use that story, I think you're missing the point of that story.
Okay.
The point of the prodigal son is not that the boy went home, ran away, and acted like an idiot. The point of that story is dad never gave up.
Right.
And dad never stopped loving him. And dad went to the ends of the earth to go get him. Dad met him at the front of that road.
Yeah.
And what your son needs isn't a Bible story or a lecture. He needs dad. I mean, all those things are fine and good. He needs a dad to sit with him and say, this is what love is. This is what a felony is. This is what destroying your life and some other young child's life is. He needs a mom and a dad to get in a car together and drive over and meet with these parents.
Yeah.
He needs that.
I think we need to go something more aggressive, like you said.
And it doesn't have to be aggressive. It has to be intentional.
Right.
I'm not talking about setting things on fire. I'm not talking about starting fights. I'm talking about saying, I will go to the ends of the earth to love you. I will continue, and you're a child. You're not allowed to buy cigarettes. You're not allowed to go to war. You're not allowed to buy guns. You're not allowed to buy beer. You're a child. And you're in a relationship that is now turned into a pornographic relationship with another child. And we're getting in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying?
You know what he said once? He said, Mom, I have this boy in my classmate. He has a daughter, and he seems happy. I'm like,
And
I don't know
what
how
was your
to.
response?
I was like, you don't know what's going on behind the doors. He may be, showing to be happy. That may not be the case behind the doors in their house. You never know what's going on in his life, but that's never. He's a child and he has a child. How would that work?
Right. Your son, hear this. Your son is screaming out for a connection with anybody. I'm not ever going to fault the 17-year-old for getting infatuated with some girl or some boy. I'm never going to get upset with that. That's the way they're wired. I'll only get frustrated with parents who don't step in and protect their children from themselves, because that's what parents do. They do boundaries. They do directness. They get involved. Get involved, Annie. Get involved today. Contact the other kid's parents. And anybody out there listening, if your kid's getting nude photos from another child, you gotta turn the lights on that deal. I'm just telling you, man, I've been too many meetings with too many people, too many investigations with too many, it just gets messy. I'm telling you, get involved with that nonsense. They're just kids. Nope. Because when it's on the internet, it's forever. When it's on your phone, it's forever. Get involved. You got to get involved, Annie.